As one of the foremost intellectuals in Nazareth, he still could not immediately grasp his master's thoughts. Pandora's actor racked his brain until a strange liquid almost began to seep out of it. It was the same for Demiurge and Albedo, one could see it on their faces. Sheltier, on the other hand, looked like she was not thinking at all. Do not think about the others. Pandora's actor forced his attention away from them. Silence fell upon the group for quite a while, only to be broken by their master's disappointed sigh. Pandora's actor felt unbearable shame, and so did Demiurge. While he could not see Albedo, who was behind him, she was surely the same. What's wrong? Raise your heads. He spoke with such a harsh tone, yet Pandora's actor could not allow himself to disobey a direct order from his master. He raised his head. Let us move on to the next topic. Who is that person? What connections to platinum could you think of? Albedo spoke first. One of the possibilities is just as Pandora's actor had said, that our opponent was one of the 13 heroes. His master nodded in agreement. The other possibility is that he is one of the counselors of the Council State Platinum Dragon Lord. Those are the only beings I could think of with a connection to platinum. Given that, let me ask a question. Was he trying to fool us into believing that he was the Platinum Dragon Lord or one of the 13 heroes, so that we would go against them or not? The answer might also lie in between those two extremes. So, what do you believe is the correct answer? I am terribly sorry, Ainz-sama. As we do not have enough information to work off of, it is difficult to conclusively judge which is the correct answer. Demiurge answered so. Pandora's actor concurred, but since his master had asked, what do you believe was the correct answer? The correct response should have been one of the options. That was probably why he had prefaced his answer with an apology. Are there any other opinions? There appears to be none. I too, agree with Demiurge's opinion that we do not have enough intel. After we are done with the kingdom, to gather the opinions of the other floor guardians on this matter. Perhaps one of them could notice a detail that we had missed. In any case, we are still proceeding with our plan to send envoys to the Council State. Will they greet the heads of state, have them sarcastically scoff at this Platinum Dragon Lord fellow a few times? That should be fine, right? Albedo. Understood. How shall I deal with the contents of the missive? I will leave that up to you. Understood. That should about conclude this meeting, correct? I should return to the capital soon. Pandora's actor, though it might be embarrassing, I must ask you to stry. An ah sound could be heard. His master turned his head around to the guardian who had made that sound. What's wrong, Sheltier? Did you forget something? Yes, Ainz-sama. I do have a question, Arinsu. Were you really planning to recruit that Riku person as a subordinate, Arinsu? Ah, about that. Of course not. If he really came under my wing, I would gather all the information I need, the organization he served, its purpose, etc., and he would be killed afterwards. Would it not be a waste to kill him? He could sense that his master had a wry smile on him upon hearing Albedo's question. I am not confident in my abilities to rein him in. If you are asking if we could exploit those unusual abilities of his or his world-class item, whichever was the case. Albedo, would you be confident enough to do that? If you are, I will leave it all up to you. It would be difficult to do so before we have collected enough detailed intel. But if it turned out that it was indeed possible for us to do so, there are many places where he could be of use to us. His master's gaze lingered on Albedo. He was probably contemplating about Albedo's abilities and Riku. If his creator was one to even include what could happen a millennium down the line into his grand scheme, he was probably analyzing how Riku could factor into his plans. The destruction of the kingdom must be part of those plans as well. He must have had ulterior motives beyond demonstrating to the world the difference in treatment received by the kingdom and the empire, due to their actions. That had to be why he would go back on his words in order to invade the kingdom. This was a common opinion shared by Pandora's actor, Albedo, and Demiurge. One would not have to think too hard to connect the undead creation experiments to this. After all, he was his creator. This was undoubtedly a premonition of something greater to come, something not even he could fathom. His creator, a supreme being whose intellect held such depths, how awesome was he? To be honest, Pandora's actor felt sorry for the others. It pained him how he had to restrain himself from boasting of his dear creator. I see. Indeed, he would be of no use to us dead. I will hear Demiurge's opinion on this too, and depending on the situation, Albedo will be placed in charge of this. Of course, that is assuming that Riku would be willing to serve under me. If he is not willing, killing him is permissible. It was impossible for anyone to object to that. If their master willed it so, it must be correct. Good. Now, other opinions, appears to be none. It is about time for me to return to the capital. I still have to close the curtains on that show. Such petty theatrics would not require Ainz-sama to personally participate, correct? I believe that I can handle it on my own. No, Albedo. Pay it no mind, I will go. Though I may not be on the same level as Albert-san and the rest, I still have my own standards to enforce against forms of resistance. I see, was that why? Albedo replied in a manner that implied that she had seen through the hidden meaning behind his words, prompting his master to glance at her. He must have been checking how much of his words she understood. After some time had passed, his master seemed satisfied as he declared in a manner expected of an esteemed ruler. Exactly, Albedo. It is exactly as you have surmised. Climb, Renner, and Brain were informed by the few remaining knights that there were guests expecting them after they had returned to the palace. Blue Rose had requested an audience. Under normal circumstances, they would have been brought to this room immediately, but the trio's current outfits were hardly appropriate. Especially Renner, his clothes said handmade in more than princess. They were absolutely soaked with sweat. The knights were instructed to bring them in after an hour to give the three enough time to fix their appearances. The Sorcerer's Kingdom's army was in formation outside of the capital and could attack at any time. For the capital and the castle's defense, knights were being moved back and forth. That was why they had to take care of the menial tasks, because none of the maids were there. Most of the maids who attended to the palace were the daughters of noblemen. They had run away from the palace to their family's mansion. Whether that was the safer option remained to be seen. He had heard from his master, Renner, that the atrocities the Sorcerer's Kingdom's army had committed along their way towards the capital will most likely be committed here too. That was a logical deduction. Nowhere within the capital was safe now. So what could one do to guarantee their safety? Renner had responded to this question with the gambit of leaving the capital. Because of that, Climb and Brain had discussed in secret about arranging a carriage outside of the palace. If Renner decided to run away, it could prove useful. Of course, he knew that Renner did not intend to run at all, yet he could not definitely say that she would not change her mind. This was just a plan in case she does. Climb prepared water and a towel for Renner to wipe away her sweat. Normally he would have prepared a bath for her, but they only had an hour, so that was off the table. Since the maids were not there, Climb had no choice but to help groom Renner. The duty to prepare tea then fell on Brain. The scene of the swordsman flipping through cabinets trying to find tea was honestly hilarious, even though he felt sorry for him. After Renner had wiped off her sweat and applied perfume to herself, while she picked out her gown, the two men took a shower. Unlike women, unlike the princess, the two men readied themselves through much simpler processes. They undressed, let water take its course down from the top of their heads, and wiped themselves off. A secondary rinse later and they were all done. Sure, they had to change into clean clothing too, but the entire process took no longer than 10 minutes for the two. An hour that felt shorter than it should have passed by, and the three were ready. Renner seemed to have picked up on some unpleasant smells as she sniffed her hair and wrist. Climb could not smell the scent of sweat, but he could faintly smell the scent of the oil and smoke that had been infused into her hair when she cooked. It should not have been as noticeable after it mixed with the scent of her perfume. The knights not only let Lacus in. The entirety of Blue Rose was present. Lacus was the only one in a gown, the rest of them were in combat gear. It looked like they were the bodyguards of a noblewoman. Climb was a little shocked. Indeed, Lacus did not come over by herself normally, but it was rare to see all of them together. This might have been the first time they came all together. You have taken time out of what little you had, yet I still made you wait. I am terribly sorry for that. No, it is fine. I did not inform you of my arrival earlier, so this was an impromptu visit. I should be the one to thank you for taking the time to meet us. There is no need for tea. We do not have that much time, after all. Just as Renner was about to steep the tea that Brain had procured, Lacus stopped her. Oi, Lacus. I feel like we should have enough time to drink a cup of tea, right? The one who spoke was Evli. The rest of Blue Rose nodded along in agreement, causing a shocked expression to surface on Lacus's face. Everybody wants to drink tea. Evli sighed heavily on purpose. The princess has been so gracious to welcome guests who had barged in without warning with tea. Would our leader be so cruel as to refuse her offer? What an indifferent fellow. Oi, musclehead. She received no response from Gagarin. Although the gazes of everybody in the room were fixed on Gagarin, she pretended that she had heard and seen nothing at all. Oi, you there with the coy expression, woman who'd sink straight to the bottom if she fell into the sea. She was indeed being completely ignored. Evli sighed loudly in response to her behavior. Oi, Gagarin. Oi. Oh, what do you need me for? What's going on, Evli? You want to drink something too, right? Yes. I feel like gulping down a large amount of liquid. I could probably drink 10 liters if I had to. What even? Do you know how much time you've wasted just to hear me say that? Whatever. Regardless of how much there is, boss, can we get some too? Hi, of course it's fine. Are you drinking too, Evli? Lacus's eyes whitened as she spoke. Indeed, if Evli were to drink too, Climb would be as surprised as she was. To drink the tea, she would have to take off her mask, but as far as Climb knew, this magic caster did not take off her mask under any circumstances.